Oh yeah, the kids were off school for a week.
Okay, I'd like to call the regular council meeting for February 5th. Call the meeting in order at this time. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The deputy clerk could please take the roll.
Councilmember Thorson?
Here.
Councilmember Peterson?
Here.
Councilmember Walczak is absent. Councilmember Sonic?
Here.
Mayor Furlong.
Here. Quorum is present. Motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Councilmember Peterson, second by Councilmember Sonic. Any discussion? Anything to be added to the agenda? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There is no presentations tonight. We do have the consent agenda here. We have the January 8th and January 15th regular council meetings minutes, the general accounts payable, the HRA accounts payable, the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust municipal tort liability waiver, temporary on-sale liquor license and charitable gambling application for Church of St. Peter for annual school fundraising event on March 2nd, 2019, and also the police department equipment to be retired and declared surplus for public auction. If there's anything that anybody would like to take off the consent at this time, they can do so. If not, like a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda with one comment, if I could, before
Sure.
we vote. So I don't know if it'd take a second. Just on the regular city council meeting minutes from January 15th, 2019, on page 3 of 7, it's a minor thing, but when we get into numbers, I want to make sure that this is accurate in the record. And the final paragraph of those minutes, it says that Councilmember Sonic stated the Planning Commission were sympathetic. He added 40% of lots in this area are 50-foot wide lots. He noted the comprehensive plan specifies lot widths of 50 feet. That specifies lot widths of 60 feet. So if we could just have that 50 feet amended to say 60 feet.
Okay, we can do so. Mary, take note. Okay, with that.
Thank you.
Of course, I went out of here.
They just need a second.
A second, sorry.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Sonic, second by Councilmember Thorson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. At this time, meeting is open to the public, and I have one public comment form here with John Schmall in regards to notification of city meetings.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I know this is going to be a waste of time because I always get shut down on the subject anyway, but it's a free country. You know, you can say whatever you want to. The worst possible non-information on a meeting happened this week, and that was the council retreat. I've never heard of a council retreat before, or maybe I did, but it's a foreign thing. Retreat, whatever that is. Retreating, whatever it is. But there was no mention of it on the website. I live and die by the website. We all do, I believe. But it was said that the notification was on the billboard here in the city. It's winter. Who comes to the city to look at a billboard? But it's the law. That's all. The only place it has to be. Do we really have to go to the law and say, we're going to make it tough on you? There's no mention of it on the calendar, no mention on the agendas. I had to depend on Councilmember Thorson to fill me in that, yep, it really was going to happen on Monday, and the time was 6 o'clock. and that it really was open to the public. I had a feeling that this was a closed meeting and that I'd be showing up and they're going to go, bye-bye, you can't come in. But there was no mention that it was closed, so, but you had to get to the billboard in order to see it, or a bulletin board to see it. I just think that is, for this meeting, it really, as we said in the Navy, it really sucked that we didn't have notification on the website. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, John. And I know that Councilmember Thorson has already addressed this to the city manager, and we've also have talked about that, you know, definitely we should be able to do that. I don't know if city manager,
Yep, we'll
If you got-
follow up with that in the future and make those corrections and make sure that those items get posted on the website.
okay. Thank you.
I got in here late, but I don't know if any,
What? What do you mean you're late?
Come on up, Don.
I was gonna wait until the end if it came up during the council meeting, but yesterday we got a phone call. The trash is gonna be picked up one day late this week because of Republic being shut down on Monday. For everybody. I mean, this is not just us, it's for everybody. The whole business was shut down.
Yep.
On account of ice.
Thank you, Don. And I know I got a robocall from that also. I
A
know
lot
that.
of people got it in Maplewood
Right.
and other places, but then his son-in-law, my friend, said that he called them, they called him earlier not to come in, so it works for him, so.
Thanks, Don. The weather has not been very good the last week or so. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to City Manager Dudek.
Mayor and council, thank you. Couple items tonight. First one is the letter of understanding, and this is really an amendment of a former agreement that we had with Thor Development for the potential development across the street here from City Hall for a potential market rate apartment development. And what's happened with Thor Development is no longer part of that. And we have a letter in your packet also. It's a legal document with Thor releasing any of their holdings or financial interest or anything from that. And we have a new development in the packet then with Coalition Development and also Rachel Development, who we will be signing that agreement with your approval. So all the terms of the agreement are the same as the council had previously approved. It's just basically a name change. So with that, if any other questions, otherwise we would seek your approval.
Any questions for City Manager Dudek? If not, all those, a motion to approve the letter of understanding between the City of North St. Paul and the Coalition Development LLC.
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Councilmember Peterson, seconded by Councilmember Sonic. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City Manager Dudek.
Thank you. Then we have the next two items are related to both that development and a potential development in the downtown at the old City Hall location. We have Terry Heaton here this evening from Springstead to talk to these two items. And basically what this is a resolution that would afford us to be able to reimburse ourselves for expenses that we would incur in preparation for these developments, for basically doing site work, survey, phase 1, phase 2 type of work, and Terry will explain that.
Welcome, Terry.
Thank you, Mayor Furlong and members of the City Council and City Manager Dudek. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. And when you are creating a TIF district, it is required before you can actually use the funds that are generated from the TIF district that you actually have the district created and that the budget's approved, and then you collect the tax increment and you can use it to pay for the public improvements in order to help the tax increment project proceed. But there's a little bit of a chicken and an egg situation in that there are some costs that get incurred in order to create the TIF district, and there's some testing, some administrative work and so forth to know and to put together enough information so that you can actually formally create the TIF district. And so there's advance expenses that are necessary to get incurred. Although you would like to pay for them with the TIF proceeds, you're not allowed to yet. but there is a practice, a standard operating procedure for cities and counties who are about to create TIF districts, that they will do a documented by resolution loan to advance the funds from another funding source, and in this case, it would be the general fund of the city, charging an interest rate of 4% to cover those upfront costs. And by adopting this resolution, it allows you to have a documented source so that when the TIF district is eventually created, assuming they both go forward, you have then done all the right steps in order to be reimbursed from the TIF district for the money that you would have upfronted from the general fund. And so you have two TIF districts that we're looking at, 4.8, 4.9. And so there are two, and each would be advanced up to $100,000, whatever is actually needed. They would bear interest at 4% and then eventually be repaid over time frame when the tax increment is created and you are able to generate the revenues to reimburse yourself.
And I'm assuming 100,000 is the max that we would be needing, or is that, could it go beyond that, or?
At this time, it is 100,000. I think the next action would be our team, Michaela Hewitt from Springstead, my associate, is working on creating the TIF, and I just chatted with her a little bit before this meeting because Mr. Dudick did ask, if this is a cap and how that would work. And the next action will be coming here soon enough so that there won't be probably more than 100. There won't be more than 100,000 at that point, and at that point, the whole plan will be put together. And if there's an additional correction to this amount, it'll be more. We'll have more information to base that on, and it can be amended at that time. But going forward, without any additional information, 100,000 would be enough for each.
Okay. Any other questions for Terry?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Terry.
It's my pleasure.
So with that, again, we'd recommend approval for both of these two items as the TIF District 4.8 and 4.9.
So, motion to approve the resolution approving the terms of up to $100,000 interfund loan in connection with the proposed tax increment financing for district number 4.8.
I'll make that motion, Mayor Furlong.
Thank you.
And I'll second it,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Motion by Councilmember Sonic, second by Councilmember Peterson. Any other questions? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second motion would be for the same resolution, well, different resolution, but resolution approving the terms of up to $100,000 interim fund loan in connection with the proposed tax increment financing for district number 4.9. Anyone can take a motion
Your
at
turn.
this time?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Thorson,
Second.
second by Councilmember Sonic. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
City Manager Dudek.
That's all I have on city business action items.
Wow.
Okay, at this time, nothing else? Anything else?
I guess just from a report standpoint, just some little updates on development as a very high level, as we all know, that's going on in the community, so continuing to work on that. But we will be meeting probably in the coming week or two at the most with M&I Homes with I'll call it a pre-construction meeting. They want to get together and just go over some of their early construction documents, but they're moving along well, and they will be preparing to submit the grading documents and that for our city engineer review in the real near coming future. Their plan is to start March or April, depending on the spring.
You want to mention the marketing piece that is out there, or?
Yes, there is a new marketing piece out that's now on the website and Facebook and some of the other social medias out there where they're marketing our new townhome development in North St. Paul. So watch for that, look for that, but
What's it called?
Gateway on McKnight, I believe is what they're calling it. And so M&I Homes is, their marketing team is starting to put material out on that. So it's exciting times to have 100 townhomes starting here in North St. Paul this spring.
Good. Thank you, that's it?
That's it.
All right. Any reports from commissions and committees? Councilmember Sonic.
Planning Commission meets this Thursday here in the council chambers at 6:15.
Okay. Councilmember Peterson.
Yeah, Ramsey County League of Local Government will present a conversation with legislative policies with city and county. The public is invited. We're going to feed you. This will start at 6:30. The program will go till about 8 o'clock. But feel free to come. There'll be legislators here, county people, and city officials. So, but you're more than welcome to come and do a Q&A. So
And
thank
when
you.
is that?
That is Thursday night here. I'm sorry, this Thursday, 6:30,
Okay.
and we'll be in the training room. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Thorson.
We had an EDA meeting on January 22nd. We elected the officers, the chair, Robert Dew. Rich McNamara was elected vice chair, and Don Jensen was absent, so we nominated him treasurer. That's the way that works. Then we just kind of went over some initiatives for 2019. We're going to start the business retention visit programs where members are going to be visiting all the businesses throughout town and kind of get an update on things and hear them out on ideas and concerns and whatnot. We're going to continue to research grant options to help facilitate development and redevelopment. There was a lot of other items that staff was going to provide updates on, but unfortunately, Scott was sick,
That's right.
and that was the first time you've ever been sick.
I
is my
felt like it. It
understanding?
was the first
Okay.
time, and it was our first meeting of the year, and there was a lot of going on, so I was really disappointed not to be there.
Because you had all the information.
I did. Right.
So some of this stuff was marked tabled, most of it, but we discussed the Buxton retail options and didn't really feel that was worthwhile to explore again. So, but other than that, just a lot of updates on the development stuff that we just took action on today and mentioned earlier. And the next meeting is on March 12th at 4 p.m. here at City Hall.
Okay, thank you. General business, Councilmember Sonic.
I have nothing, Your Honor, thank you.
General business.
Yeah, I
Councilmember
just recently
Peterson.
attended the League of Cities Experience Conference this last weekend. A lot of great information. They know we have a new mayor, so I was touting your presence there. And it was very, it was good to network, and it was on communication, and I can really analyze all my people I work with. I got little tips, so that's not a big deal, but it was kind of interesting. And I enjoyed the fire department annual party. It's always entertaining. Those guys are just great. We are, and gals, we're very fortunate to have a good fire department. And I attended the 36 Hadley intersection today meeting over in Oakdale, and got the bad news again that there's no money for us on 36 and 120. So, but they're, they're aware of it, because, we're going to be the last stop sign from here to the river, so. But they were nice about it, but that's where we're at, so, thank you.
General business, Councilmember Thorson.
I have nothing.
And I have just a couple of things here. We did meet with the Silver Lake Lake Commission, or
Association, Silver Lake,
So-
Lake Association.
Improvement Association, and they elected their officers at that meeting and also showed their budget. And it looks like this next year, actually this past year, they didn't have to treat the lake. The DNR came and actually said you don't have to treat it. So the money that we actually funded for them, they did not use. So they'll probably be looking at it again this year for some sort of funding if they need to treat it. And we did meet with the Twin Cities Pawn Shop this last week, in regards to doing our due diligence to possibly having a new pawn shop in our town here. With that, that's all I have. At this time, we are going to go into a recess. We have a closed session at this time. And pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D -03, the workshop session shall be closed to consider strategy for upcoming labor contract negotiations with the groups listed here. Number one is ASME Council 5 representing the essential employees. 2 is ASME Council 5 representing the non-essential employees. 3 is LELS Local Number 298 representing the police sergeant. Number 4 is LELS Local Number 211 representing the police patrol officers. 5 is the Teamsters Local Number 320 representing the public works and electric employees. And 6 is the IBEW Local Number 160 representing the supervisory unit. So at this time, we will go into recess and adjourn in the workshop. Do I need a motion at all for that, or? Need a motion to close the meeting.
So, second.
So moved by Councilmember Thorson, second by Councilmember Sonic. It's closed.
We all said.
Oh, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? I'm getting it.